The June 1st, 2023 regular session of the Clarksville City Council is now called to order. Pastor Cal Hampton with the Second Mile Church will be our chaplain of the day. Councilperson Brian Zacharias will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll invite you to stand if you wish. Pastor Cal, please approach the well.
Let's pray together. Father, first and foremost, we just bow in your presence. You are our great creator, our redeemer, our maker. And Lord, nothing happens on this planet without it first passing through your fingers and your hands. And Lord, we know that you have ordained government. And I personally believe everyone that's in the position that they're in our city council and our mayors and all of our leadership positions, you have placed these people here. And I want to thank you for their service tonight, first of all. Thank you for the hours that they put in. And Lord, each and every family that's represented here tonight, I pray, God, your most choice blessings over every family. A lot of needs in this room tonight, Father, and you're able to meet all the needs all at once as soon as we pray about it. And so we ask, God, your blessings on this meeting tonight. We need your wisdom. Lord, we're a growing city. And with growth comes problems and issues. And so we need divine wisdom tonight, God. And I pray for peace and for patience. God, help us to be civil with one another. Help our discourse to be good. We can agree to disagree, but it's how we disagree that carries a lot of weight. And so I pray, God, for you to guard our hearts and our mouths and our lips tonight. And that, God, everything that we say and do would bring a smile to your face. And Father, I want to thank you for our mayor. Thank you for Mayor Pitts. He has tremendous workload on his shoulders, but he's always got Clarksville on his heart. And so I thank you for the work that you're doing through he and his sweet wife. And thank you for all the employees of our city. Thank you for this city council, God. I pray you'd fill them with your spirit tonight, God, and give them the decisions that they need to make, and that you would speak to us from heaven tonight. Thank you for this wonderful place that we live called Clarksville, Tennessee. It's in the mighty and the matchless name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members, please register your attendance. Madam Clerk, take the roll.
All members are present.
We're all here. All right. We have a special presentation. Councilperson Reynolds, you are recognized in the well.
You guys join me, please? Thank you. Thank you. So, this month is Pollinator Month, and is anybody else here from Healthy Yards or the Pollinators group? Am I missing?
Councilperson Reynolds, is there a microphone under there?
There is.
Okay.
There.
You're welcome. I want to make sure the public hears you.
Do I need to push it, or does it work?
Lieutenant Gill is our AV expert up front.
Thank you. They're always multitasking, the police. So this week is Pollinator Month, but also I'd like to thank the mayor, and we were able to complete the Mayor's Monarch Pledge. And this is a certificate of recognition for our Parks and Rec Department and our Sustainability Board for this initiative. And I'd like to, and it says that we'd like to commend them for our continued efforts. So what this really is for the community, monarch butterflies have declined 80 to 90% and were declared endangered in 2022. By joining the National Wildlife Federation's Mayor Monarch Pledge, we indicated that our community is committed to creating habitats for monarch butterflies and pollinators and educate our residents about how they can make a difference. Canopy cover has positive implications for many urban quality issues, including reducing stormwater, runoff, air pollution abatement, heat islands, and effect improvement in our increases other things. When the mayor and other elected officials take a stand, communities notice. The council voted to create the Sustainability Board, which also partners with other activities in the community such as Parks and Rec, City and County, committee members, the Tree Board, and APSU. When we completed the pledge, our community was able to indicate 11 actions of progress, and we only had to pledge to commit 3 of them, and we've already completed 11 of them. So I'd also like to recognize the Sustainability Board and the other group of women here who are part of the Healthy Yards Initiative in our community. The Healthy Yards Initiative is where we ask community members to plant 3 native plants, avoid using pesticides, and what's the last? Pesticides and herbicides in their yard to encourage pollinators. Michelle Rogers from the Center of Excellence for Field Biology is really the leader of our Healthy Yards Initiative, and we're just trying to keep up with her. She does a great job. Alexandra Wills is the Director of the Community Engagement and Sustainability at APSU, and she also obtained a $400 grant in support of this initiative. And the college purchased, and she got a second grant to purchase seedlings and seeds, which we were able to use to promote our activities. Joanne McIntosh, who's not here, is the chair of the Clarksville Montgomery County Sarah Club, and she's also part of our Healthy Yards group. And the Sarah Club gave us $100 to buy Healthy Yards signs. Petra Kella has this wonderful, she's the organizer and author of the Clarksville, Tennessee Native Plants. And really, if you are interested in doing natural plants, that is the page to follow. She does a great job of educating all of us on the importance of native plants. And Suzanne Atkinson, who's not here, is a very active community member. We partner with Parks and Rec. We also partner with the Tree Board and Katie Killebrew and the Master Gardeners. It's just a very large community group that we are able to work with. I'd like to also thank Mr. Harpel for supporting our initiative. He was the one who bought our first set of signs. And the mayor for including the next big purchase of our sustainability sign, of our Healthy Yard signs in the budget, and I appreciate that. Michelle, how many people do we have signed up about?
Over 100 individual residences and then several schools and public parks.
And I know that that you're also planting native plants and taking that initiative in the Parks and Recs. In Valley Brook. So we're really, it's just and expanding. We're really proud of the community for stepping in to do that. So if you're interested in how to protect and reestablish pollinators in your yard, please check us out at the city website under Healthy Yards or on Facebook. That's number 1. Don't go away. Mayor, would you join us, please, for this one? I just need to reach in. Sorry. This is the pollinator week. Now, aren't you to accept this too, right? Yeah. So.
Okay, thank you, Councilperson Reynolds, and to everyone, thank you. This is Pollinator Partnership Week, and we have a joint proclamation with Montgomery County Mayor Wes Golden, jointly declaring that in the city of Clarksville and Montgomery County. And it is worthy of note that we have a huge 11,000 square foot pollinator garden being planted in Valley Brook Park. So stay tuned for progress on that. And
$10,000 grant on that one. Sorry, we had a $10,000 grant on that one. We're taking over the hillside down there to where we don't have to mow it any longer. And they're planting the heck out of it with Austin Peay's help. We got a lot of plants from Austin Peay too.
thank you, Dr.
So,
Hodge.
just thank you.
So it's all about partnerships, and that's what Pollinator Partnership Week is all about. So it is my honor and pleasure to present this to Councilperson Reynolds and to Jennifer and to the Sustainability Board for you all working so very hard. So thank you, and God bless you. Yeah, we've got several programs and events planned for the week of June the 19th through the 25th at the Wade-Bourne Nature Center, at the Customs House Museum, and the list goes on and on. We invite you to go to the website or our social media pages and get the details about that. You'll want to participate and be present for a lot of these. So thank you. And I think Jimmy wants to take a picture after you're finished.
I'm done. If you
Okay.
want to get in for the picture.
Okay,
No,
here
I
we go.
thought I would get on the other side here. Between us.
You'll
Yep,
come down
come
this
this
way.
way, guys.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is the Planning Commission report. Councilperson Streetman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 11 items on our agenda tonight. Madam Clerk, will you please read the ordinances and resolutions?
Ordinance 127, 2022, 23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Dunlop Regional Holdings and Regional Holdings, Richard Garrett Agent, for zone change on property located at the intersection of Needmore Road and Centerstone Circle from AG Agricultural District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Ordinance 128, 2022, 23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of J&N Enterprises for zone change on property located on a portion of a tract south of I-24, north of Tiny Town Road, east of Torrington Lane, west of the western terminus of Siegel Drive, from R2 Single Family Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Ordinance 129, 2022, 23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn for zone change on property fronting on the south frontage of Memorial Drive from R3, 3-family residential district to C2, general commercial district. Ordinance 130, 2022, 23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Rolanda Amos, Richard Garrett Agent, for zone change on a parcel located at the southwest corner of the Woodard Street and Gracie Avenue intersection from R3, 3-family residential district to R6, single-family residential district. Ordinance 131, 2022, 23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Elliot Kershaw and Rolanda Amos, Richard Garrett Agent, for zone change on a parcel located at the southwest corner of the Woodard Street and Central Avenue intersection from R3, 3-family residential district to R6, single-family residential district. Ordinance 132, 2022, 23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jimmy Terry for zone change on two parcels located at the southwest corner of Crossland Avenue and Gracie Avenue, intersection from R3, 3-family residential district to C2, general commercial district. Ordinance 133, 2022, 23, first reading, an ordinance amending the city zoning ordinance of the city of Clarksville as it pertains to the downtown urban design overlay district. Resolution 66, 2022, 23, a resolution accepting the public improvement program for fiscal years 2023, 24 through 2027-28, compiled by and approved by the Clarksville-Montgomery County Regional Planning Commission. Under Planning Commission Old Business, the following items were heard during public hearing and postponed on May 4th. Resolution 56, 2022-23, a resolution annexing parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24. Resolution 57, 2022-23, a resolution adopting a plan of service for parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24. And Ordinance 106, 2022-23, first reading, an ordinance amending the official code of the city of Clarksville, apportioning the city of Clarksville for the purpose of electing persons for the office of city council member for recently annexed territories.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor, I move we go into public hearing for the first 8 items.
Motion been made and properly seconded to revert to public hearing without objection. We are now in public hearing. First item on our public hearing list is item 1, ordinance 127, 2022-23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Dunlop Regional Holdings. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 127? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against 127? Next item is ordinance 128, 2022-23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of J&N Enterprises. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 128? If you would, give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Sandra Hester with Veterans Realty Services, 3021 Fort Campbell Boulevard. I'm here for J&S Enterprises. We're asking that that area be changed to an R4 behind the Bahama Bucks. We did do a traffic study. It came back fine. The roads can handle 45 acres of apartments. The street department gave us their approval. The planning commission and staff have also voted their approval. This is a very well planned out project, and nobody that lives in the area has complained. Clarksville is growing, and the needs for affordable homes and houses. I'm asking for your support of the city council.
Thank you, Ms. Hester. Any comment or question for Ms. Hester? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 128? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 128? If you would, give us your name and address. You have 5 minutes.
Robert Kettner, 3546 Torrington Lane, Clarksville, Tennessee. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I would respectfully disagree with the lady that just came up. She stated that nobody complained about the plan going forward with the apartment buildings. Well, I was definitely at the last regional planning meeting, and I definitely spoke up there as well. So maybe there was another avenue that I wasn't aware of, but that information is incorrect. The bottom line is, right now, Tiny Town Road is 7 miles long. In 2022, there were 4 fatalities. Now, compared to the U.S., where there are 4 million miles of public roads, there were 38,824 traffic deaths in 2020, which makes Tiny Town Road 58 times more deadly than the national average. Now, to me, I understand they did a traffic study. Kind of confused about that as well. When I went to the Regional Planning Commission meeting, they said they were going to have to do a traffic study when they did the
Site plan.
thank you, sir. So I don't know if that's been done or not. In the meantime, that was only a week ago, so I kind of question that. But the bottom line is, I travel that road, my wife travels that road, my mother-in-law, my children, my grandchildren. On a regular basis, either going to work, coming from work, we're seeing traffic accidents. There's just simply not enough traffic control on Tiny Town Road to sustain another, I believe it was 458 units at the regional planning meeting is what they had mentioned. I'm all for affordable housing. I think in the future, it might even be a good idea to put this there. But right now, we just don't have the traffic control to support another 458 units. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kettner. Any comment or question for Mr. Kettner? Seeing Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Kettner, thank you for, he's gone. Where he gone?
Mr. Kettner, I'm sorry. We had a question for you. Councilperson Smith right here.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Kettner, for coming in and standing up for what you believe in. My concern and question to you is, what would you like to see on that built instead of these units, 400 and some odd units? What would you like to see built that would not hurt the traffic or be harmful or cause any more deaths? Because we're going to have deaths every day
We are.
for traffic. So I'm just want to know, what would you like to see built?
Well, currently that's zoned for single family. I am not against single family. I'm not even against multifamily if we put in enough traffic control devices. As the subdivision plan goes, I think that was the subdivision meeting is what was going to do the traffic control one. My understanding is they were going to do the traffic study for the feeder road that was supposed to lead into that apartment complex. Now, that doesn't take into account, to the best of my understanding, all of the subdivisions around there. So, for example, where you've got Barker's Mill Road there by the Speedway, right now there's no traffic control, and
Can you tell me what traffic control you want to put forth?
stoplights would be great. I mean, right now, people trying to get out of that subdivision, making left turns especially, they're using the turn lane as either an acceleration lane or as a pause lane because they simply can't get out across 2 lanes of traffic and then into the third.
I understand exactly what you're saying. So if we put up some stoplights and a little bit more traffic control, you would be all right with this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I've been that young person with, with kids that needs affordable housing. My son-in-law, daughter-in-law are looking at having children. They need affordable housing. So I'm not against the expansion.
Okay.
I'm all for more people coming to Clarksville. I just think we need to do it safely.
You think they need to build some Section 8 homes as well? Affordable?
I think that I don't have enough information to make a judgment on that.
Okay,
I don't know how much we have.
okay. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone
Thank
else?
you. Any other comment or question for Mr. Kettner? Seeing that now, you may proceed to your seat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 128? Our code allows, if you would like to rebut, if you spoke in favor and would like to rebut anything you heard, you're allowed to come up and you would have 3 minutes. Seeing none, okay, we're now ready for item 3, ordinance 129, 2022-23, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 129? Thought so. If you give us your name and address, you have 5 minutes.
Hunter Wynn. I reside at 540 Georgetown Road. I'm just looking to go from R3 to C2. I really don't know what I'm putting there yet. Just kind of speculating on it, and I got Young and Hobbs working on a foot plan on a building.
Any comment or question for Mr. Wynn? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Sir, thank you for coming forth. Why would you want to change the zone if you don't know what you're going to put there? Or is it for sale?
Yes, ma'am.
Or you want to sell
It's
it?
just an investment.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Any more comment or question for Mr. Wynn? Thank you, Mr. Wynn. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 129? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 129? We're now ready for item 4, ordinance 130, 2022-23. First reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Rolanda Amos, Richard Garrett, agent. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 130? Yes, sir. If you would give us your name and address, you have 5 minutes.
Great, thank you. My name is Elliot Kershaw, 876 Phonic, Nashville. I own the property with Rolanda, and our houses that are in that area are getting old, large maintenance bills. And so we would like to rezone so that we could put some new construction there, and add more units. And we are open to allowing some of those to be affordable housing in this particular development.
Thank you, Mr. Kershaw. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Mayor, thank you. Sir, thank you for coming forth. I heard you said that you want to build these units and you have no problem with doing affordable homes. Are you talking about Section 8 homes?
We would do Section 8. We actually have Section 8 on this property today. We would
Really?
leave some number of units the
How
same.
many units you plan on building?
6.
6, and how many would you make for Section 8?
2.
2? Okay, that's good. That's a start. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilperson Allen, you are recognized.
Will you guys be looking at doing anything for the veterans, like HUD Vash or anything like that?
We have not considered that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comment or question for Mr. Kershaw? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 130? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 130? Item 5, ordinance 131, 2022-23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Elliott Kershaw and Rolanda, Amos. Put my teeth in so I can talk. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 131? Yes, ma'am. I assume Ms. Amos, if you would give us your name and address, you have 5 minutes.
I'm Rolanda Amos, 2124 Cliff Drive, Nashville, Tennessee. And we'd just like to request approval for rezoning this from R3 to R6. Like my partner mentioned before on the next parcel, we're just looking to improve the community, bring the community up. We've been here since 2016. We're not looking to just come in and leave. So we, like to just add some new construction to the community.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Amos? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone
And
else in the audience wish?
I
Yes.
just wanted to
Oh, I'm
allude
sorry.
to Councilman Allen's question that
Okay,
on this parcel, we are considering targeting some of the veterans for housing.
good news.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 131? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 131? Next item, item 6, ordinance 132, 2022-23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jimmy Terry. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 132? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 132? Next item, item 7, ordinance 133, 2022-23, first reading, an ordinance amending the city zoning ordinance of the map of the city of Clarksville, Tennessee, as it pertains to the downtown urban design overlay district. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 133? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 133? Item 8, resolution 66, 2022-23, a resolution accepting the public improvement program for fiscal years 2023 through 2024 through 2027-28, compiled by and approved by the Clarksville Montgomery County Regional Planning Commission. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of resolution 66? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against resolution 66? Councilperson Streetman?
Mayor, I move we go back into regular session.
Motion been made and seconded to revert to regular session. Without objection, we're back in regular session. Councilperson Streetman.
As a reminder, all motions upon the advice of legal counsel shall be for approval. Ordinance 127, 2022-23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Dunlop Regional Holdings LLC, Regional Holdings LLC, Richard Garrett, agent for zone change on property located at the intersection of Needmore Road and Centerstone Circle from Ag to R4 multifamily residential district. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 127. Any comment or question on ordinance 127? Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yeah, I would just like to say that I don't really oppose this infill, but I think that we need to finish the infrastructure and the roundabout across from the school before we add any additional density to this area. Thank you.
We're sure trying. Okay, anyone else have a comment or question regarding ordinance 127, excuse me? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
11 yes, 2 no, and 0 abstain.
Ordinance 127 is adopted, first reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 128, 2022-23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of J&N Enterprises for zone change on property located on a portion of a tract south of I-24, north of Tinytown Road, east of Torrington Lane, west of the western terminus of Seagull Drive, from R2 Single Family Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 128. Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Everybody already knows what I'm going to say. Everybody knows how I feel about adding increased density to Tiny Town Road. I would just like to remind everybody, or just draw everybody's attention to what is happening to this property and the tract immediately to the west of it. In January, this council voted to increase the density from R2 to R2A. Now we're being asked to increase the density further from R2 to R4. This is it's dangerous, it's reckless, and we need to vote no on this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Allen, you are recognized.
So I am the councilperson for this ward, and I have looked into this, these extra apartments and everything like that. Eventually it's going to be more openings and there's going to be more lights. That is a lot of property. Here we are, from Tiny Town, from Needmore Road to all the way down. There is not another light until you get down to Trenton Road. If we build this area up, which that is the area that people use as a speedway, if we build this area up and add in the infrastructure and everything, more lights and everything like that, I think that this would be a great thing for Ward 8. So I am voting for this today. Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. What I'm going to say kind of lines up with the previous speaker. One of the things that was discussed as far as involving the street department at the Regional Planning Commission by the staff was the fact that there will be a connector road that runs through there. And then having that connector road come out where it would match up with another road across the street, and then a light could be able to be put in there. That collector road would not only collect the residents that live in these apartments, the other R2 that's being built, but also the other areas on each side that have already been built. It's a way for them to be able to connect in, and then they can be able to utilize that light to be able to get in and out. So it would address some of the concerns of our speaker tonight in regard to giving more traffic control there. This would help facilitate their ability to get out and be able to make left turns onto Tiny Town. I voted in favor of this at the Regional Planning Commission, and I will be voting in favor of this tonight because of those things, because I was originally concerned with this zoning request.
Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I understand that the collector road is going to help the people in the neighboring developments and that sort of thing make it to Tiny Town, but that's ultimately where they're going, is Tiny Town. The overall volume on Tiny Town is already, in my opinion, over capacity. And on the note, last week I got an education in the difference between a traffic assessment and a traffic study. It was the traffic assessment that was done. I don't know if anybody else in the council got it, but I did not. So I still have not seen that.
Thank you. My apology for that. Councilperson Redd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I would just say that the staff and the board recommended approval. We need affordable housing here in Clarksville. When the applicant's representative had called me, they assured me that there's going to be some Section 8 that's going to go into this particular development. Even the person that spoke out against this said that he's not against affordable housing, of course, but he would be okay with this if we had a signal light there. And you know, it's going to take some time after the site plan and before this place is built. And I think that we should look at putting a signal light, even if it doesn't pass. And the council person for that ward has recommended approval. I mean, this just checks every box as far as I can see. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, I'd just like to remind the council that when we vote, we say yes or no to the density. There is no guarantee, even though they say they're going to put in all this infrastructure, there is no law that says they have to. That will still be determined. What they're telling us now and the recommendations are not binding. Thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. It's inevitable that the majority of the undeveloped property inside the city limits is someday going to be developed. And I'm not against that, but my concern is now that if this is approved, we're continuing down the road of filling things in without having adequate infrastructure. And I did ask Mr. Cowan last week if TDOT has given them an affirmative yes on putting a signalized intersection on Tiny Town Road in Barker's Mill, and the response was that conversations have taken place. This would be a good time for us to go ahead and partner with TDOT to get that done so that we can develop this property and other property and be able to properly move traffic from all of that property that's currently vacant that we know is going to be developed. So I'm not against this being developed in the future, but I just can't responsibly vote in favor of it until I know that there's a traffic signal on the books that's happening there, and the mayor has seen it, and it's really going to be a done deal. So thank you.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So what we have to remember is that lights don't get put in unless the density is there. And what I'm telling you guys is I travel this road every single day, and it's like Speed Racer from Trenton to Needmore. We need something there to break that up. If we can get the density there, we will get something there to break that up. Because that area right there, it is dangerous, but we need something in there to break it up. And I think that added density will break it up. I've been saying it about that area the entire time. It's like out of 500 down that road. And if we get something in there to just break that up, it'll be much safer on that road. Thank you.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Sorry, just quick to the point, and I was going to say what Councilperson said and agree with what she said. There has to be a need in order for them to put it there, and when the density does happen, they will move faster in getting things to make roads and residences and areas safer. That's all I have to say.
Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. It was mentioned that whatever the developer says is not binding, but I'd like to remind everyone, that's on every single zoning case we have. It's not just this one. So thank you.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just liked what the previous speaker said, and also the one who has put forth this amendment. They're going to be building some Section 8 homes, and that's what I'm running after that. I'm running after it because we really need that. And also, there are going to be some traffic controls equipment put up. And so the other person, as they said, that spoke, because Mr. Cutter, he said that he did not have anything against this if they put up the traffic control. And I understand my council colleague who's saying that the density. How many roads are on this particular area that they want to put all of these units? Anybody can tell me about that? How many roads? How many lanes? Is what I need to. I'm trying to find out how many lanes are there.
In the proposed development,
In this,
we won't know until the site plan is developed.
They don't have. I mean, is it on Tiny Town Road, Mayor?
It is off Tiny Town Road, yes.
Okay. So right now, I guess it's just one way in, one way out, one road up, one road down.
Till the site plan is developed, we really don't have anything definitive.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
I'd like to call for the question.
Any objection to the question? Seeing none, hearing none, we are ready to vote now on ordinance 128. We're voting on ordinance 128. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
8 yes, 5 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 128 passes. First reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 129, 2022, 23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn for zone change on property fronting on the south frontage of Memorial Drive from R3, 3-family residential district to C2 general commercial district. Both the Regional Planning Commission staff recommended disapproval. Regional Planning Commission recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 129. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 129? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
10 yes, 3 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 129 is adopted. First reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 130, 2022, 23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Rolando Amos, Richard Garrett agent for the zone change on a parcel located at the southwest corner of Woodard Street and Gracie Avenue intersection from R3, 3-family residential district to R6, single-family residential district. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 130. Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you. I'll be abstaining on this one and number 5 as well. I have a property over there.
Okay, thank you. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I just to say last week I made comments about infill and tearing down old homes. I still feel that way, but I'm going to vote for this because I did speak to the property owners and I did drive by and understand that these buildings are past their life, but I continue to have a concern for the overall plan of these older neighborhoods. Thank you.
Any other comment or question regarding ordinance 130? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 1 abstain.
Ordinance 130 passes. First reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 131, 2022, 23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Elliott Kershaw and Rolanda Amos, Richard Garrett agent, for zone change on a parcel located at the southwest corner of the Woodard Street and Central Avenue intersection from R3, three-family residential district, to R6, single-family residential district. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 131. Any comment or question from council regarding ordinance 131? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 1 abstain.
Ordinance 131 passes. First reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 132, 2022, 23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jimmy Terry for zone change on two parcels located at the southwest corner of Crossland Avenue and Gracie Avenue intersection from R3, three-family residential district, to C2 general commercial district. The Regional Planning Commission staff recommended disapproval. The Regional Planning Commission recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 132. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 132? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
7 yes, 6 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 132 passes. First reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 133, 2022, 23, first reading, an ordinance amending the city zoning ordinance of the city of Clarksville, Tennessee, as it pertains to the downtown urban design overlay district. The Regional Planning Commission recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 133. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 133? Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to abstain because my employer is within this boundary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote on ordinance 133? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 1 abstain.
Ordinance 133 passes. First reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Resolution.
Sorry.
That's okay. Resolution 66, 2022, 23, a resolution accepting the public improvement program for fiscal years 2023-2024 through 2027-2028, compiled by and approved by the Clarksville Montgomery County Regional Planning Commission. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of this resolution. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, Mayor. I just wanted to, I'm going to vote for this, but I just feel that overall, we have people that are coming and saying that they're willing to build low-income homes, and I don't feel that some of our projects and overall our budget are really recognizing the need. I know that we do have some initiatives in the city, but I think we're missing opportunities, and we don't have enough money in that pot to support the need. And for instance, we're spending a lot on the Vulcan property, and it was even brought up that we don't have parks. So I'll vote for this, but I hope that you'll reconsider some of the money and maybe look at opportunities in the next year to increase our not only Section 8, but just our low-income housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Seeing none, are you ready to vote on this resolution? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 66 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. The next three items were heard during the public hearing and postponed on May 4th, 2023. Resolution 56, 2022-23, a resolution annexing parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 56. Any comment or question? Seeing none, Councilperson Lovato, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take a moment because we've had a lot of concerns emailed into us, but I wanted to speak for the sellers tonight. Vicki and George Kennedy, it's important to consider their situation when we are talking about this. The land has been in their family for 5 generations, but they do not farm this land themselves. They lease it for pennies on the dollar because the surrounding development has made farming no longer appropriate for that area. They have been good stewards of this land. They have been cooperative multiple times when their land was used to amend the roads, I-24, Oakland Drive, and other utilities. They now they are in their 80s. They only have 2 adult children and no grandchildren, so there is no one to carry on this family farm. And so their vision is to leave behind a legacy to the community that aligns with their family values. They believe that Mr. Weekly's current sketch of a combined commercial, residential, public park, and combined commercial, residential, and public park area will do that for their vision. The public concerns have been for the traffic in the schools, but regardless of our decision tonight, that land will eventually be developed and the new residents will be using those resources. These concerns are valid and should be taken seriously, but the planning is appropriate. It is a reasonable request, and we are in a position to work toward traffic mitigation and infrastructure development to accommodate the plans and to preserve the rights and legacy of the Kennedys. So I hope that you will vote yes for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I would just like to say that I'm not opposed to the annexation. I just think that it should be brought in, and then a serious discussion of what right looks like. Again, once we approve C2, no matter what was submitted is not binding, and I would like to have our Regional Planning Commission to have more control as we discuss the rezoning of the area. So I would rather see this come in as ag and then come back to rezone appropriately and be brought back through the planning commission with similar to the conversation that we've had on the corner of Tiny Town that we just had earlier. So thank you.
Councilperson Streetman, you recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. In my opinion, that we have the opportunity to vote on the zoning now. Whether we're voting on the zoning at a different time or the same time, we're still getting the opportunity to make that decision. And I can see where they would want it all as one, and it was their choice and their right to be able to bring it in to say, we want this annexed and we want it at the zoning. This is how our law is written for them to be able to do. I agree with things that were said by the ward representative for Ward 12, and that this is going to eventually, this is going to develop regardless. It makes more sense if they're asking to do it, to go ahead and have it in there so that anything that's done in there, any streets, any development as far as electricity, all of that, they have the opportunity to go ahead and have it on the front end with the city, as well as to be able to have the fire services that would be associated and other emergency services. So for me, I am in support of this annexation. This is with them asking for C2, and they've already, talked to us. I realize that we have to make the decision on what it can be. However, they've already told us what that they're looking at this to be, and it's actually a true mix. It's not just residential. They're looking at residential and commercial. So for me, they kind of checked a lot of boxes. And when they first brought this forward to the Regional Planning Commission and requested a zoning change, and I asked him on the floor whether or not, asked Mr. Weekly on the floor whether or not they were planning on annexing, and he said yes, that they were going to do the zoning and then bring it in. And I was one of the ones that talked to them about, my thought was it would be better to do it through the city instead of doing one and then coming to the other. I know another council member had also addressed that concern with them, so they did that. They brought it to us and gave us this opportunity, and we have the opportunity before us to be able to make the decision. So I will be voting in favor of this.
Councilperson Allen, you recognized.
I'd like to thank the the ward representative for bringing that information. I did know that information already, but I'm glad that you said it. I will also be voting for this annexation. That's not a part of my ward, but I do use that to get to Sam's and everything like that. And I think that changing the way that it's focused right now will allow for traffic to move smoother, because they're going to have to fix it. I will be voting for this. Thank you.
Councilperson Marquis, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Real quick, I just want to bring everybody's attention to Resolution 66 that we just unanimously passed. The RPC in one section in the attachment that they added actually stated that even though the budgeted and eventually completion of Exit 8 Athletic Complex, a large gap remains in the area of Tinytown Road, Exit 1, Trenton, Tylertown, and Oakland Road. There are no priorities in the next 5 years for this shortfall of parks to be addressed in our city. This area is in need of a park. We have an opportunity here to have one created, and not just a regular park. This park will attach to the Blue Way, which is used in high volume throughout the city every single year. It will also help with balancing traffic along the city, because instead of people going to like Billy Dunlop and all that, we can kind of balance it out at different exits if we, strategically plan that. We can also, I looked into the situation with that subdivision adjacent to this potential annexation and their traffic concerns, but the issue that presented is that you have city limits at the north, and then at the south, and that very center gap is county. If we were to annex this, that little strip of land becomes the city, which is in the 2020 transportation plan, but it stops at the city limits. Personally, I would like to get that expanded so that we can widen the road with the plan if it is our property, which it's not right now. So I think that we have a huge opportunity for recreation, for traffic, and housing as well in our city that I think we should take advantage of. So I will be voting for this. Thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you are recognized.
On an island alone, that's me right now. So my concerns are the same as when we discussed this last month, and I respect the new council member for speaking on behalf of the property owners. I asked the chief to come up, and based on the report of the services that would have to come in for this, he didn't feel comfortable that we had enough law enforcement to cover the addition of these potential apartments and the amount of people that could be added there. And then also in our initial report, we didn't have anything from the school system, which we would on a regular zoning, and that came later. And those schools are already overrun. So I imagine this would force tax dollars from the county side to have to build more schools to support the potential new residents there. I understand what one of the previous speakers said about if it's within the city limits, then we have the opportunity to improve the infrastructure. But we have infrastructure that we're already responsible for in the city limits that we could focus funds to. I'm looking at the big picture. Fortunately, we do have a plan to make infrastructure improvements, but there are more opportunities as people continue to move here for new industry, and more houses are going up inside the city limits, more building in the city limits. We need to have more ways in our existing property to get in and out of places. And I would just feel better if we were focusing our attention on taking care of what we already have responsibilities for. So for that reason, I will be probably the only no vote on this. Thank you.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
There's nothing, just call for a question.
Second.
Question been called for. Any objection to the question? Hearing none, seeing none, we are voting on Resolution 56. We're voting on Resolution 56. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
8 yes, 5 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 56 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 57, 2022-23, a resolution adopting a plan of service for parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24. Make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 57. Any comment or question regarding this resolution? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
11 yes, 2 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 57 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 106, 2022, 23, first reading, an ordinance amending the official code of the city of Clarksville, apportioning the city of Clarksville for the purpose of electing persons for the office of city council member, recently annexed territories. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 106. Any comment or question regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 106 passes first reading. Councilperson Streetman.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. We're now ready for the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the consent agenda.
All items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the council may request that an item be removed for separate consideration under the appropriate committee report. Ordinance 72, 2022-23, second reading, an ordinance amending Part 2, Code of Ordinances, Title 12, Streets and Other Public Ways and Places, Chapter 6, Cemeteries of the Official Code of the City of Clarksville. Ordinance 105, 2022-23, second reading, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of condemnation of Frosty Morn abandoned railroad spur for easements and or rights of way and or fee simple title in connection with redevelopment of the city-owned former Frosty Morn packing plant property. Ordinance 107, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Rita Home Builders for zone change on property located at the intersection of Needmore Road and Trenton Road from C2 General Commercial District to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Ordinance 108, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Mayville and Amanda Whitehurst for zone change on property located on a parcel fronting the south frontage of High Street, 520 plus or minus feet south of the Crossland Avenue and High Street intersection from R3, 3-family residential district to R6, single-family residential district. Ordinance 109, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Meadows and Stephen Tyler Dennis for zone change on property located at 3 parcels fronting Everett Drive, south of Hemlock Drive, from R1, single-family residential district to R6, single-family residential district. Ordinance 110, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of James Burchett for zone change on property located on property fronting New South Drive, approximately 465 feet south of Highway 76, from C4 Highway Interchange District to C2 General Commercial District. Ordinance 111, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of regional holdings for zone change on property located at a parcel fronting Oak Street, approximately 240 feet south of B Street, from R3, 3-family residential district to R4, multiple family residential district. Ordinance 112, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Raphael Porter and TLRG Properties for zone change on property located at the northeast corner of Ford and 9th Street intersection from R3, 3-family residential district to R2A, single-family residential district. Resolution 63, 2022-23, a resolution approving a retail liquor store certificate of compliance for sale of liquor at 931 Liquors, located at 2896 Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Resolution 64, 2022-23, a resolution approving a certificate of compliance for sale of wine at Crossland Deli and Wine, 241 Greyhawk Trail. Resolution 65, 2022-23, a resolution approving appointments to the Ethics Commission, Housing Authority, Human Relations Commission, Power Board, Public Art Commission, and Sustainability Board, and the adoption of minutes from May 4th and May 10th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion. Motion been made and properly seconded. In favor of the consent agenda, anyone wish to be recognized? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote on the consent agenda? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
The consent agenda is adopted. We are now ready for the Finance Committee report. Chairperson Streetman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 104, 2022, 23, first reading. An ordinance approving amendments to Clarksville City Code Title 9, Chapter 4, Operation of Vehicles, Section 9-447- Speed Limits Established, Title 9, Chapter 4- Operation of Vehicles, Section 9-449, Speed Limits in School Zones and Playgrounds, and Title 10, Chapter 1, Section 10-101- Certain Misdemeanors under state law. The Finance Committee recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 104.
Mayor,
Yes.
if possible, can I cede the floor to the sponsor of this ordinance?
You recognizing Councilperson McLaughlin.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and Mayor. So we've been pushing this down the road because when the state established the law that would allow municipalities to raise the speed limits for residential areas, there were some legalese that Mr. Baker was concerned about. We're in the process of getting that worked up, but I'd like to go ahead and proceed with us voting on first reading with the hopes that during one of our special sessions for the budget, we can vote on second reading. So basically, in a nutshell, the substance of this ordinance is to increase the speed limit in residential areas from $50 fine to a $200 fine plus court costs. This would be a Class C misdemeanor. It would not be punishable by jail time. But the idea is to encourage people to slow down in residential areas. Our public comments tonight was about speeding in residential areas. All of us get phone call after phone call after phone call about people speeding in residential areas. We have a state law that has a high fine for speeding in school zones. This is similar in nature. Children are also in neighborhoods. And while we're encouraging people to walk and be outside more often, they're at risk because of people driving like bats out of you-know-what on residential streets. So that was the design behind this, with me partnering with some of our Montgomery County delegation to allow this, because under state constitution, we as a municipality cannot cite people more than $50 fine. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what it is. The essence will not change between now and when we do get the second reading on it. But in a nutshell, I just wanted the public to know what we're doing here. And the urgency, in my mind, is that the governor will allow this to go into effect on July 1st, and that's the target date. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized on the ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the sponsor for your work on this, not only on a local level, but also at the state level, in order to be able to make this a possibility for us to do this. And you're correct, we do often hear complaints about speeding in neighborhoods. I know every HOA meeting that I've gone to, that's something that has been mentioned by one or more residents in regard to speeding within their neighborhood, which, are slower roads than our regular roads. I also appreciate that. I know we had to postpone this once during the first round of finance because there were some things that needed to be worked out. But I thank you for wanting to go ahead and move forward with this, because we know the kids are out for school now, and that means obviously warmer weather. They're going to be outside. So I just want to tell you, I really appreciate doing this, and this is one I look forward to voting in favor of now and for the second reading. So I hope that everyone else will do this as well.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, I echo the sentiment of the previous speaker, but I just wanted to say that I did have initial concerns about a Class C misdemeanor, but I did some homework and recognized that for the people here or listening, distracted driving and driving without a seatbelt is also a Class C misdemeanor, which I did not know till I looked up, and I felt much better about voting for this. And I would just like to make sure that there is the opportunity for the first offense to go to class. Is that correct?
Councilperson McLaughlin, I think that was directed at you.
Yes, just like other traffic violations, one time in 3 years.
One time in 3 years. I would say, I would remind perhaps that we also recognize that we stopped providing driver's education in the schools. And I know my sons are in their 30s and I had to pay for them, but many people shut up over there. Many people could not. And so I think that some of this is truly an education. So thank you.
Okay, Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Deanna, for the, oh, I can't say your name.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Well, Ward 2, for this, sponsoring this, ordinance. My concern is this. I see the first offense it's gonna ride over. My concern is this, is what about those who cannot afford to pay for this $200 ticket? That's my concern for, the low income. And I know we do, and I get a lot of complaints about, speeding in neighborhoods. I just think that $200 is a little steep. I mean, I know we do $50 fines now. I don't know, but I just think that's a little steep, and that's my concern for the low income in certain neighborhoods. And we have to look at that. And when we make these laws, are we taking food from the table of the poor people? Are we taking food from the table of those who get moderate income, who cannot afford this? I see this on the news all the time. So that's my main concern. And so I'm just kind of puzzled about the way I'm going to vote on this. I'm not sure yet, because I don't want to hear nobody say, well, you raised it up to $200. I can't pay this. My children, I either got to pay the ticket or don't eat. So I'm just looking at it from a different perspective, and I know this might not even stop the speeding, even though we put this $200 up there. It might not even stop the speeding, because I mean, they speed anyway, and they still get tickets, but they're not this high. Well, that's all I have to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to say with all due respects to the previous speaker, I believe that all our fines, is the same for everyone, no matter what your economic group is. If you're a multimillionaire, $200 might not mean anything, but I understand $50 or $200 could mean a lot for some people. But I don't think, and I don't know if the law would allow us to make different fines for different income levels. So, but I will say this, whenever I always campaigned for city council and been on the city council, I've had more calls about speeding in the neighborhood by far. I believe, I didn't keep a tally, an official tally of it, but I can tell you I've had more calls about this than anything else. And I'd just like to say thank you to the sponsor of bringing this forward. This may provide some help here, and some is better than none. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So I'd like to also thank the sponsor of this. I will definitely be voting for it. I'd also like to say this is supposed to be a deterrent. So if you can't afford a $200 ticket, you shouldn't be speeding.
That's true.
I think that it's supposed to be a deterrent for people not to speed. And I mean, I'm a social worker, so I'm always looking at people's income and everything like that. Well, next time, don't speed in a residential area. The same people that are doing the speeding, they can afford the gas to put in their car to go speed. So I don't think that should even be taken into consideration, the income part. And I'm a social worker, and I do that every day. So thank you.
Councilperson Streetman, you are recognized.
I'm going to call for the question.
Any objection to the question? Hearing none, seeing none, we are voting on ordinance 104. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 1 abstain.
Ordinance 104 passes first reading. Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Before moving to the next one, I would like to make a motion that we combine the next 8 items for one vote versus voting separately on them.
Motion been made and properly seconded to combine items 2 through 9. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, into one motion. You are recognized, and without objection, we will do that. You object?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm at the right one.
These are the water pumps.
Ordinance 2 through 9. Okay. No objection. Motion passes. Council Chairperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 114, 2022, 23, first reading, accepting the donation of certain real property from Jeff Burkhart Custom Properties Incorporated to the City of Clarksville for the purpose of sewer pump station. Ordinance 115, 2022, 23, first reading, accepting the donation of certain real property from MVM Properties to the City of Clarksville for the purpose of sewer pump station. Ordinance 116, 2022, 23, first reading, accepting the donation of certain real property from Griffey Family Partnership to the City of Clarksville for the purpose of sewer pump station. Ordinance 117, 2022, 23, first reading, accepting the donation of certain real property from Matt H. Rudolph Jr. Credit Shelter Trust B to the City of Clarksville for the purpose of sewer pump station. Ordinance 118, 2022, 23, first reading, accepting the donation of certain real property from J&N Enterprises Incorporated to the City of Clarksville for the purpose of sewer pump station. Ordinance 119, 2022, 23, first reading, accepting the donation of certain real property from Sango Ridge LLC to the City of Clarksville for the purpose of sewer pump station. Ordinance 120, 2022, 23, first reading, accepting the donation of certain real property from Todd Morris Construction LLC to the City of Clarksville for the purpose of sewer pump station. Ordinance 121, 2022, 23, first reading, accepting the donation of certain real property from Main Street Investments TNGP to the City of Clarksville for the purpose of sewer pump station. Finance and Gas and Water Committee recommended approval for all 8 ordinances, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 114, ordinance 115, ordinance 116, ordinance 117, ordinance 118, ordinance 119, ordinance 120, and ordinance 121. Any comment or question regarding these 8 ordinances? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? We are voting on all 8 ordinances. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Those ordinances are adopted. First reading. Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Mayor, prior to reading the next 3, I would like to make a motion that we vote as a whole on these 3 ordinances so that we're voting once rather than voting separately.
Motion been made and properly seconded to take up items 10, 11, and 12. Did I get those right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Ordinance 123, 124, 125. Any objection to that motion? Hearing none, seeing none, it is adopted. You are recognized.
Ordinance 123, 2022, 23, first reading, the exercise of right of eminent domain to obtain utility easements necessary for gas distribution improvements associated with the High Point Road gas main project replacement. Ordinance 124, 2022, 23, first reading, the exercise of right of eminent domain to obtain utility easements necessary for gas distribution improvements associated with the McAdoo Creek Road Regulator Replacement Project. Ordinance 125, 2022, 23, first reading, authorizing the exercise of right to eminent domain to obtain easements and right-of-way to cross property necessary to construct, operate, own, and maintain the Corporate Parkway Boulevard extension and associated utilities. Both the Finance and Gas and Water committees recommended approval on all 3 ordinances, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded on ordinance 123, ordinance 124, and ordinance 125. Any comment or question regarding those 3 ordinances? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
11 yes, 2 no, 0 abstain.
Those ordinances are adopted. First reading. Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 126, 2022, 23, first reading, an ordinance amending Title I, Administration, Officers and Personnel, Chapter 2, City Council, Section 1-204, General Rules of Order of the Official Code of the City of Clarksville, Tennessee, relating to the notice of agendas for all meetings. The Finance Committee recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 126. Any comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 126 is adopted. First reading. Chairperson's treatment.
Resolution 54, 2022-23, a resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding between the City of Clarksville Fire Rescue and Tennessee Voices. Both Finance and Public Safety Committees recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and seconded in favor of Resolution 54. Any comment or question regarding Resolution 54? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 54 is adopted. Chairperson's treatment.
Resolution 60, 2022-23, a resolution authorizing Mayor Pitts to file with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development the City of Clarksville's fiscal year 2023-2024 annual action plan and the fiscal year 2023-2024 application for community development block grant funds and home investments partnership program funds. Both the Finance and the Neighborhood and Community Services Committee recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 60. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
I will be abstaining from Resolution 60 and 61 because I do work at HUD.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote on Resolution 60? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 1 abstain.
Resolution 60 is adopted. Chairperson's treatment.
Resolution 61, 2022-23, a resolution authorizing a request from Neighborhood and Community Services to amend its fiscal year 2021-2022 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Annual Action Plan 2020-2024 Consolidated Plan. Both the Finance and Neighborhood and Community Services recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 61. Any comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. According to the clerk, it needs to be postponed.
I make
Resolution
a
60
motion to postpone this to the next meeting.
Motion been made to postpone Resolution 61 until the July regular session. Any objection to the postponement motion? Seeing none, hearing none, we are voting on the motion to postpone Resolution 61 to the July 2023 regular session. I tried to talk slow to give her time. Okay. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 1 abstain.
Resolution 61 is postponed. Chairperson's treatment, you're recognized.
Resolution 62, 2022-23, authorizing an interlocal agreement between the City of Clarksville and the City of Guthrie, Kentucky. Both the Finance and Gas and Water Committees recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 62. Any comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote on Resolution 62? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 62 is adopted. Chairperson's treatment.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to extend a reminder of what I stated last week, that due to the same change with the law regarding getting the agenda out, the Finance Committee meeting will now be held the Monday before the final Thursday of the month versus where it has previously been held on the Tuesday beforehand. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. We're now ready for the Gas and Water Committee report. Chairperson Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. My report will not be as extensive as Finance Committees, but just bear that in mind.
Can I get a second?
Yeah. All right, so starting up, the gas system distributed 423 million cubic feet and averaged 14 million cubic feet per day. That represents approximately 21.4% of the system's capacity. The water plant pumped 552.8 million gallons of treated water into the system and averaged 17.8 million gallons per day. This represents approximately 64% of the plant's capacity. The sewer plant treated 394.3 million gallons of sewage and averaged 13.1 million gallons per day. And that's about 53% of the plant's capacity. So we're running about half on that one. The call center handled 9,644 calls and averaged 321 calls per day. Each call lasted an average of 3 minutes and 31 seconds. The service department completed 4,925 work orders and responded to 320 after-hours calls. The billing division read 110,000 meters with an accuracy of 99.89% and sent a total of 10,842 bills and notices. The engineering department approved 6 utility plants this month and had 41 ongoing projects. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chairperson Holloman. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Seeing none, we're now ready for Neighborhood and Community Services Committee. Chairperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. For Community, Neighborhood, and Community Services, the L&N train station, they have some repairs underway at this particular moment. For the Dixon Park design, there's a basketball fencing replacement project that is going on right now. Next week, on the 8th of June, the CNCS will be hosting a meeting to educate property owners and landlords on the tenant-based rental assistance program, as well as our lead safe housing initiative. So you're all invited to come to that. That's next week on the 8th of June from 2:30 to 3:30 in the City Hall Conference Room, 4th floor. That concludes my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Seeing none, we're ready for the Parks and Recreation Committee. Chairperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. As you might expect, as the weather gets nicer, Parks and Rec gets busier. May was a great month with over 10,500 check-ins at Parks and Rec facilities. Use of Swan Lake Golf Course continues to outpace usage at the same time last year. And in what I think is the stat of the month, the Clarksville B-Cycle bicycle rental program saw 950 trips totaling 7,521 miles traveled on those bicycles. So way to go, Clarksville. The outdoor pool season has begun. Swan Lake, Beach Haven, and New Providence pools are open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. In addition to the pool openings, we invite you to take advantage of the city's splash pads. The Clarksville Downtown Market has a new Instagram page. It's at Clarksville Farmers Market, and there you can go there to get real-time updates from the farmers market itself, as well as seeing some of the inventory that the participant vendors have available at the farmers market. And then finally, the Mayor's Summer Night Lights program has returned. I had the opportunity to go out there this Tuesday at Kleeman. Got a hamburger and a hot dog cooked by none other than our own Building and Codes Department. So well done to them for sort of sponsoring that event. Attendees can look forward to inflatables, sports tournaments, and enriching sessions that promote educational and skill building experiences. And I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Seeing none, we're ready for Public Safety Committee. Chairperson Redd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to thank the gentleman from council person from Ward 1 for standing in for me in my absence. We have today Ordinance 113, 2022-23. This is the first reading, an ordinance amending the official code of the City of Clarksville, Title 4, Building, Utility, and Housing Codes, Chapter 10, relative to graffiti control and abatement. And without objection, I'd like to refer the ordinance to the Honorable Council Lady in Ward 9 for any motions and or amendments.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized for a motion.
I motion to put it on the floor.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded. You are recognized.
Thank you. I met after the council meeting and have had some additional conversations with legal. So I passed out to everybody an amendment, and this is based on the legal advice from our Mr. Baker. And I changed a couple of the whereas, but most importantly, the only change that I'm making in the ordinance is removing the word chalk. I'm not making any other changes or any other statements. We had a great deal of conversation last week regarding this ordinance. And there is a group in our community that is concerned regarding the ability to charge vandalism for chalk on the sidewalk. My overarching attempt in this ordinance is merely to de-escalate the language regarding chalk in our city ordinance. I understand that this is not a one-size-fits-all, and the city can still clean up chalk on city property. Residents can also still be charged with vandalism. I'm just attempting to raise the bar of what a vandalism charge looks like by removing the word chalk. We've had some, emotions run high lately, and I don't, it could have been a teenager that went out and wrote that in the roads, or write something political, or, kids are mean. They write things, and I just want to de-escalate. I know that this is not the perfect one-size-fits-all, but I do think that it is a step in recognizing the concern of residents in our community. So I would like to make a motion for the amendment.
Motion been made and properly seconded for the amendment to ordinance 113. Councilperson Allen on the amendment.
So the amendment is just to take out chalk, but it also says or any other substance capable of marking property. So that still includes chalk. I mean, I just wanted to say that. It still includes chalk.
Yes.
So if you take chalk out, it still includes chalk.
But it's not, so, so the incident was chalk written on the road. And because chalk was, we have many, you can do vandalism as we stated in the committee meeting by spreading ketchup on your neighbor, It's not, I'm not trying to totally remove it. I'm trying to de-escalate the language in our ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Councilperson Zacharias on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say that, actually two things now based on that last comment. But first of all, regardless of how you feel about the main ordinance, I would just like to remind everybody that council did advise us last week in the meeting that were this ordinance to pass without this amendment, or without the language being removed from this amendment, it could open the city up to a lawsuit that we would likely not win. So again, regardless of how you feel, I do think it's important that we do vote in favor of this amendment, removing some of the problematic language. The second thing that I wanted to mention, again, is a reference to something that our city attorney told us last week, that courts will interpret a removal of an item like chalk that is specified as being permitted, and therefore not fall into
Any other.
any other thing. Again, that was just a reminder of something that he said last week. There may be differing legal opinions among different attorneys, but I figure it's something worth mentioning. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I do think that, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I do believe that chalk is an innocent tool that can be used for kids, and also at the same time, it is a tool that can cause vandalism, only because this necessarily doesn't outline where that chalk can be used or anything like that. Let's say if you just take it out completely, people can automatically assume that I can use chalk to mark on somebody's vehicle or on windows, not consider graffiti in Clarksville anymore just because it could be washed away. That's the only negative or thing I can think of in my head that would make me kind of iffy on this. But as far as everything else, I do think that chalk on sidewalk or pavement like areas, I wish we could add that in there. That's okay. But as far as putting it on, I guess buildings are okay, but I guess people, I guess it would just have to be interpreted in a different kind of way or written out to where it would specify that, only because I see the implications of somebody
doing something and saying, well, chalk is not considered graffiti. That's it.
Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. First, not all chalk is the same, and not all the places where you would put the chalk or the graffiti. If it's on a parallel wall, or if it's at one of the bus stops that has a cover, it could be there for a long time. And just because, and I guess the thing is, the legal ramifications that can come about because we are choosing the medium in which the graffiti is there is one thing I saw from the executive committee meeting when Attorney Baker spoke to us, and that could be problematic. And just because something is easier to clean up, the graffiti, or you don't have to paint over it like, of course, spray paint, I think, it still would be graffiti. And I think that the reason why it was in the ordinance in the first place is because maybe of some of these reasons. But I don't think we should start into the medium, because somebody's going to come back later and talk about watercolors or something. And that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman, you are recognized.
Call for the question on the amendment.
Motion been made to call for the question to cease discussion, properly seconded. Any objection to calling for the question on the amendment? I object. Okay, we're on the board. It takes 2/3, which is 9 of us. So we're voting to cease discussion on the amendment. Okay, we're voting to cease discussion on the amendment. All members, please cast your vote. Takes 2/3, takes 9 of us. Madam Clerk.
7 yes, 6 no, 0 abstain.
Motion to cease discussion fails. We are back on the amendment. Councilperson Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'll just talk on the amendment and as well as the main motion, just kind of keep it all together. But I will be voting no on the amendment. I will be voting no on the main motion. And after looking at this, and then like the way people put political messages, could put political messages on the sidewalks or on the streets, it could just cause division. I mean, look at the United States. Look at us socially. Look how divided we are. And we want to be up here as a council and sow the seeds of division. Come on, seriously. Vote no, please.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized on the amendment.
Mine is more of a question. If we take chalk out during these walks in downtown commons and art walk events, is there something that says that that's allowed at that point?
If it's a city-sponsored event, we could allow that. However, we'd have to think twice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized on your amendment.
Well, kind of to both, but so the concern is, and I know that the political message is to answer, but really, according to this ordinance, any markings of chalk. So if I don't like the kids playing hopscotch on the sidewalk in front of my house and they draw up my sidewalk, under this ordinance, I can call and it could be charged as vandalism because it's an all or none. Again, and I understand, but also the language does not preclude a charge of vandalism when the intent is malicious in accordance with the vandalism ordinance. So that has not been removed. They can still be charged with vandalism. It just ups the reasons of how you, so you don't automatically say chalk can be considered vandalism. It's not a perfect solution. Again, many residents reached out, and this is a response to their request for action based on the fact of using a chalk that can be washed away. And so I'd like us to vote on the ordinance, which again just removes the additional sentence at the bottom and 3 of the whereases. Thank you.
Any other comment or questions? Seeing none, we are voting on the amendment to ordinance 113. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
5 yes, 7 no, and 1 abstain.
The amendment fails. We're back on the motion on the ordinance as presented. Any councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to speak to the ordinance as a whole. I know we keep referencing vandalism on here. This is not addressing vandalism. This is to do with graffiti, which means unauthorized markings. So if it's unauthorized, whether it's chalk, whether it's paint, whether it's ink, whatever, it's still unauthorized. The city is still going to require it to be removed. They're still going to come behind and say this has to be taken care of, or they're going to take care of it. But either way, it's going to be taken away because it's unauthorized markings. I have the same concern as was addressed previously by someone else, another council member, and that opening this up to graffiti, making it think that it's okay to use chalk on buildings, on everything else. You're still, if it's occurring in front of a business owner, they're still going to be the one that has to deal with it and have the repercussions of it. I think, as another council member referenced, you're opening the door to what's the next thing that is going to need to not be in there. And I want to be sure that one of the questions I had for Mr. Baker was whether we take this out or we don't take this out. I mean, we're still looking at the same issue. You know, it's not really solving anything. And I guess I didn't quite understand it the same, that it wouldn't be included as any other substance capable of marking property. So for me, I echo the sentiments of a previous speaker that I will be voting against this because, again, this has to do with graffiti, nothing to do with vandalism, and I don't see where it's solving any major issues that are affecting our community on a daily basis.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized on the main motion
Yeah.
for
So,
ordinance 113.
so while I understand the intent, I do have the same concerns as everyone else. I am going to vote no on this today, but I would urge the sponsor to bring something back that separates the hopscotches and the plan on the sidewalk things from the vandalism and everything like that. I would, if there's any way to do that. I don't think a child should be charged with vandalism or graffiti for putting a hopscotch on their sidewalk. So, I mean, I would just urge you to maybe come back with something that will make that okay. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
So we, technically we live in America. We cannot say it's okay here and this is okay, but not that. This ordinance never took away the ability of our city to remove anything on the roads or to go clean it up. It only, again, as I said earlier, de-escalated. If you look at section 10-225, offenses against property, it states no person in the city shall willfully, maliciously, wantonly, or negligently injure, deface, destroy, or remove real property or improvements thereto, or movable or personal property belonging to the city or to any person in the city. And then it cross-references the graffiti, which specifically, again, spoke about chalk. There was a charge of graffiti and vandalism based on chalk written on the road. So whatever the message is, this law supported that. And so that is, I was trying to address, how do we address that? I will circle back. It's summertime. And the residents really wanted something done quickly, and this was, I thought, low-hanging fruit and an easy, just again, de-escalating it until we figure something else out. But we cannot, in the United States of America, come back and say, you can do this, but you can't say that in chalk. So that's part of the issue.
Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This, I can't believe how complex this issue ended up being, because when I first heard it, I thought what this would do would be to make it okay for kids to do something that kids have been doing forever, which is drawing on the sidewalk in chalk. Since then, I have had the opportunity to speak with the city attorney, as recently as Tuesday. And the way he explained it to me is that this ordinance is really only going to apply to graffiti on private property. The city is still going to be, some would say, have the obligation to maintain sidewalks and streets. So if somebody puts a hopscotch or rainbows, unicorns on the sidewalk and somebody calls building codes, they're going to come out and they're going to clean it up. What this would do, though, if somebody used chalk to mark up private property, so the example that was provided was you've got an absentee landlord, there's a house that's empty, somebody goes and writes something on the garage door, something like that. Currently, the city, through the graffiti abatement program, can hold that property owner responsible for cleaning that graffiti. And if the property owner does not clean the graffiti, then the city is going to do it and send the property owner a bill. If we take chalk out of this, then we lose the ability to require property owners to keep their property clean of chalk-based graffiti, which it sounds minor, but if you've got a landlord or a property owner that lives in another city, state, and a message, whether it be obscene or whether it be rainbows and unicorns that people in the neighborhood feel detract from the overall aesthetics of the neighborhood, we would not be able to compel a property owner to clean that graffiti from their property. That is my understanding. I understand that Mr. Baker is not here today, but if somebody else has a different understanding, that is the understanding that I got, that this only pertains to graffiti placed unauthorized graffiti on private property. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you. I guess I'll mirror what previous people have said. You know, this is something simple and childlike. You know, it's not anything as us wanting to shut down any kind of fun or anything like that. It's just one of those things to where there's a small percentage of people that will take advantage of things such as that and use it to the extreme. Is why stuff like this gets put in there. And then also that with the graffiti, it does say unauthorized markings. So not everything would be considered graffiti if whoever, private property or whatever like that, authorized their kids to do chalkings and stuff like that on their own property. Of course, I understand the whole sidewalk aspect of that thing that's city property, but majority of neighborhoods, homes in neighborhoods have driveways, paved driveways, and if they don't have a paved driveway, maybe family friends or even I don't know, maybe we can get with the Parks and Rec to give chalk easels at facilities to encourage that too for kids to have art. But that's all I got to say.
Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I think sometimes we fix problems that don't really exist. And I'm going to bet. Now, I don't know, and I didn't call Mr. Smith at Building Codes, but I'm going to guess that there's never been a complaint about children playing hopscotch with chalk on the road. I may be wrong, but I'm going to guess that I'm not. You know, we have a noise ordinance, and someone could particularly stand out in front of their yard, and the neighbor's children could be hollering and screaming, and they could take a picture of their meter on their iPhone of how much noise it is, and they could be a decibel above. We have a tall grass ordinance. Praise the Lord for that. I think it's 12 inches tall. Someone could go out and measure with a ruler that it's 12.5 inches and call building in codes, because like I said, most of it is complaint driven. But I don't think that that there's a problem here that's worth the legal problem that could arise. And when I watched the executive committee meeting, you mentioned what if somebody put a swastika there? And now you're going to be choosing. I just don't think we should be in the medium of which these drawings are made. And all of the laws, again, that we have on the books, if the speed limit's 25 and you're going 25.2, theoretically you could be cited. I understand that, but we know that the ordinance that we have, and when I was on Parks and Rec years ago, we had a terrible time with graffiti, and that's whenever we started putting up cameras in different places to prevent it. And again, now, and I'm not a chalk expert, and I meant to Google it, but I know this: there's big chalks about this big around, and not all chalks are the same. Not all messages are the same. And I really don't think there'll be a problem with our children not being able to play hopscotch. At least I hope not. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
Yes, Mayor, I think we all know how we're gonna vote. I'll call for the question.
Okay, any objection to the question? Hearing none, seeing none, we are voting on ordinance 113. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
2 yes, 11 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 113 fails. Back to you, Chairperson Red.
Building and Codes Construction Division had 2,037 total inspection codes. Enforcement Division had 301 new cases. Abatement Division worked 12 orders. The Fire Department, they had 12 graduates that successfully completed the 14-week academy and are assigned to a shift. 17 members completed the rope technical class. 20 members passed various state testing events and received advanced certification. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Any comment or question about this committee report? Councilperson Little, about the committee report?
Yes.
Okay, you're recognized.
Just on the CPD side of things, I encourage the community, anybody interested in law enforcement, to apply for working for CPD. They're short on officers, and especially with annexation, we're going to need additional officers to enforce and help to assist and even offer life saving to our residents. I have met with the chief multiple times, and I can tell you that he is one of a kind chief. I've seen his board. He has every individual with a picture, so he knows each and every person on a whole nother level that I've never seen before. And I worked in law enforcement, and I've never seen his personalization and the way he interacts with his employees. And I guarantee you, if you are interested in law enforcement, CPD is the way to go.
Thank you. We're now ready for Transportation, Streets, and Garage Committee. Chairperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The TSG reports for May are as follows. I did not receive a report from the Transit Department, so I will move on to the Street Department. The Street Department report completed work orders total of 199 for the month of May. Spring cleanup total pickups were 1,649. Roads paved for the month of May were 11. Orleans Drive, Nice Drive, Verdum Drive, Duprius Drive, Chatterow Drive, Melinda Drive, Paula Drive, Morrison Drive, Sherry Court, Aurelia Lynn Drive, and Powell Street. Roads planned to be paved for the month of June is 4th Street. That concludes that report. Let's see. We'll move on to the city garage. The citywide gas and diesel total prices that was bought from Fuel Master on site was $101,592.28. That was for unleaded. Diesel cost was $29,144.84 for a total of $130,737.12. Okay. So now fuel costs for unleaded today, it was $2.80 per gallon. The last delivery was May 31st, which was a decrease of 2.8% from $2.88 in April. The fuel cost for diesel was $2.58 per gallon. The last delivery was May the 26th. That was a decrease as well of 5.5% from $2.73 for the month of April. So our next meeting will be June the 13th. We wish that all of you all can come. I do know that one member will not be there. She's already made that known. And I really need the other 2 members to come on in so that we can have a quorum and have a meeting. Thank you. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairperson Smith. Any comment or question regarding this committee? Seeing none, we're now ready for new business. Resolution 67, 2022-23, a resolution requesting the mayor to call 3 sessions of the city council as a committee of the whole to participate in vision sessions. Councilperson Reynolds, you are recognized.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to put it on the floor.
Motion been made and properly seconded. You are recognized.
Thank you. I introduced this ordinance in order to increase collaboration with our city council members. Last week I talked about, my intent to update the sidewalk ordinance and to be as collaborative as we move forward with that project as possible. But there are other opportunities such as our homelessness, updating our landscaping ordinance and the tree warden ordinance. For instance, to address the issue in our tree canopy. I don't know if anybody is aware, but in 2014, we had a 37.8% tree canopy in the city of Clarksville. In 2022, we have a 17%. We have, so our canopy cover has implications for many urban quality issues, and we have had in 7 years a 54% decrease in our tree canopy. So this is something that is going to be a multi-pronged approach to address because of the heat island effect that's going to happen in our city, as well as the runoff and air pollution. The vision meetings are opportunities to get input from our peers and department heads. These are multi-pronged issues that will take a village to address, and I think there are prime issues for our agenda items and discussion of budgets or grants that we can all work on together. So I hope that you'll support this and that the mayor will support it and call 3 Vision Center. I'm thinking just quarterly, 3 sessions to move forward with some of our ideas. So that's all I have.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I know that the sponsor of this talked about that Germantown already has these vision sessions, and that was where the idea came from. I went out and looked at the Germantown government. They have 5 aldermen and a part-time mayor. They also don't have the same committee structure that we already have in place. We've got our Parks and Recreation Committee. We've got our Transportation, Streets, and Garage Committee. So there's a large opportunity there to talk about different things. We already have several committees in place where we have 5 members of the council that are already on there. So that's 5 of the 13 that are sitting up here. Often the mayor sits in on those meetings as well. Those department heads are already in those meetings. We have the experts there to be able to talk to us as well. We have a process in place where we're able to talk about anything that we're working on, as well as get that input that is available from the department heads. And keeping in mind that when we reference, we've got Transportation, Streets, and Garage Committee. We have Public Safety Committee. We've got Parks and Recreation Committee, Neighborhood and Community Services Committee, Gas and Water Committee, and then Finance Committee. Plus, we have an executive session every month. I'm referencing those because department heads are already at those meetings. All the department heads are generally at the executive session, and depending on what committee it is, depends on which different department heads that you have there. The more meetings that we're putting out there for them to be able to attend, their time is not unlimited, much as everyone else. And the more time you ask them to spend at meetings and doing this, is less time they're actually having the opportunity to get out there and accomplish the tasks that we're asking them to do, that their employees are needing from them, that our citizens are needing from them. So for me, I think we should utilize the committee structure we already have in place. If there is an item you want to talk about, I would encourage people to bring them to those committees. You can ask to have that put on the agenda, and then you're able to address it, and the committee can speak on it as a whole. As was referenced when this was talked about a couple of months ago by one of my fellow council members, they stated that we all have the opportunity as council members to be able to put items on the agenda for new business. That's exactly what this is right here, is there's an item on here for new business. So we already have the opportunity to do everything that these vision sessions would do. So I would ask, instead of voting in favor of this, I would ask that everybody please utilize the systems we have in place, participate in the committee meetings, attend whenever possible. And if you've got something that you're wanting to work on and collaborate with others, you have that opportunity to do it. But we also have that availability to reach out to our department heads and work with them directly on different items. So I would ask that let's do that first before we put another task on our department heads that already have a lot on them.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So I think that the vision sessions, and I have to look at this in a different light. I think that the vision sessions would be a good thing. And the reason why I say that is not because I understand we have our committees and I understand we have all these different places where we can put the ideas out there. But what we don't have is an opportunity to brainstorm in an informal setting. We don't have that opportunity as the city council because of sunshine laws and things like that. We can never sit down and just have a conversation about and brainstorm an idea. We all bring great ideas to this council. We bring great ideas, we bring great changes to legislation, but I may not be able to sit down and actually really, in an informal light, sit down and really hash it out with one of my fellow council members to maybe, because they may see something I don't see. So that's where I think the vision session would be a good thing. If somebody has something to bring to the table, but they really want to brainstorm it, and I've tried that before. I've tried to bring something to the table to where I don't know the answer, but let's bring it to the table so we can discuss it. And I think that's what we miss in our city government because we don't sit down and we don't have those brainstorming conversations. So I'm going to vote yes on this. Thank you.
Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So I am also going to vote yes, but I'm doing so to signal my willingness to engage in these kind of conversations. I understand why sunshine laws exist. I love them. They serve, what's the word I'm looking for? They serve the people in making sure that all of our city business is being done in the open. But the reality of the situation is we have a week between our executive session and our voting session. We hear about the information for the first time at the executive session, and then we're voting on it a week later. And there is very little opportunity in between to talk to each other and to make some of the arguments and the points that we would like to make. Let's be honest. We come to these meetings and we know how we're going to vote, and we're not. We can say that we're believe that we're going to change somebody's mind. I come in here every single first Thursday of the month, and I hear a perspective that I had not considered when I was thinking about this ordinance, or whatever issue that we're talking about. And that is a short amount of time between hearing that point to consider that point and have it inform a vote that's going to be recorded and go on the record. So I'm not saying that it necessarily has to be 3 vision sessions once a quarter, but I am going to vote yes again, just to signal my willingness and openness to some sort of collaboration that we can do within the sunshine laws to hear each other's perspectives. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. So I just want to say that one of the reasons that I only asked for 3 sessions is to give it a test. Like, I didn't make it a permanent thing for us to continue doing. This is a test of working it out. I know that a previous speaker talked about attending committee meetings. I have done that, but if you're not on the committee, you're not allowed to speak. You're given a 3-minute bite section at the end of the meeting, and it's very constrained. And oftentimes we're shushed and moved on even in our own committees, and that's frustrating as well. Some of us have pushed back against that. So, and the other thing is reaching out to the directors is always a like, we don't direct the directors, so I'm always cautious of, like, do you go to the mayor and ask him to do that, or do you go directly to the director because you don't want to be, you're not in charge of them, so you can't direct work for them. So I always feel like it's a balance where if we have this kind of meeting and we get a general consensus of we would like to move forward with that, the mayor can at that point do some direction and directives to the other people to support us and have the conversations without us, interfering with things. So that's one of the, I just think it's collaboration, and I hope that you vote yes for it.
Councilperson Redd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm reading on the board and I'm reading the title here, and it says to request that the mayor, but in the legal verbiage below where it's therefore be resolved to the city council, the word request is not there. It just starts that, it just says that the mayor call 3 vision sessions. So if there's no objection by voice vote, I would like to make the motion to amend this by adding the word request that the mayor put, that is to put the word request in front of the very first sentence there. And that would be my motion by voice vote if there's no objection. Thank you.
Do I hear a second on that motion to amend the resolution? Motion been made and properly seconded. Everybody understand what Councilperson Redd's amendment to that is? Will you please state that again?
Yes, sir. We're just going to add the word request at the very part of the resolution. Instead of starting that the mayor call 3 sessions, it'll say request that the mayor call.
Okay.
I think it was just an oversight whenever they typed up this.
You've heard the explanation of the amendment to add the word request in front of the phrase that the mayor call 3 vision sessions. Any objection to that amendment? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. That amendment is adopted. We adding the word request. Councilperson Redd, you still have the floor. Okay. Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you. Listening to some concerns from previous speakers, I see this visioning sessions as people would submit ideas for conversation, then we would invite the appropriate staff or department heads. So we're not like at an executive session where all the department's heads have to be represented. And obviously we can't probably cover 10 topics each quarter, but maybe through the clerk's office, there could be a request, sorry, Lisa, a request of what topics we might want to address first. And I'm all in favor of this. I too get frustrated. And it's just ironic that the state legislature, in their wisdom, passed a law on us that the Sunshine Law, yet they don't have the same law. So this would give us an opportunity for those who want to collaborate in a public setting that's still streamed by the public, where the public could still come and watch us discuss these things for this to happen. And I did discuss this at my town hall meeting last night, and the people in attendance do understand what the vision of the visiting sessions is and are in favor, and so am I. Thank you.
Councilperson Smith, you recognize.
Thank you, Mayor. My concern is this: who will be recording the minutes for these sessions, and will we be having the IT coming in to record these for public vision as well, or?
Yeah, they'll be publicly noticed and recorded just like in our executive session and our committee meetings.
And I hear some of the speakers, but all these meetings that we have, as was mentioned by a former or previous speaker, colleague, council person, we got a lot of meetings, and I understand what you're saying, but we can't talk because of Sunshine Law. I understand that, but I'm drenching. I'm overrun with meetings. When we don't even have some of the council members coming to the department meetings. So how we know, and what's the guarantee that everybody's going to be here for these 3 call meetings? I can't even meet a quorum sometime at my meetings because I have members that don't show up at all, to none of them. Has not showed up. And so, I just can't see us putting more meetings on people who have a life that's a busy life, who works. As we said, we have executive session where we discuss things. We can talk it out, and you're not shut down. The mayor does allow you to speak and talk about what you want to say, make your points So my thing is this, I mean, too many meetings is just, too many. Too many meetings is too many. That's all I have to say, Mayor.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
I mean, this is the thing, and I think I understand what the previous council member was saying. However, if you have an opportunity, I mean, just because we have, okay, so we have our committee meetings and everything, like, and I'll let y'all know, I haven't been to any because I don't see, I think they're pointless. I think that you get into the committee meetings and it's the same thing we're discussing here, and you get cut off. And I went for the first half of I was in council, and I was like, you know what, I'm not doing that anymore because I don't feel like what I'm saying matters. So I haven't been going. However, if you're in a place where you can have discussion, see, that's the thing, and I think that's where the problem comes in. There is no discussion. These people decide this is what I'm going to do, and these people decide this is what I'm going to do. You get 2 minutes to say why you're going to vote yes and why you're going to vote no, instead of really being able to hone in on what is truly the best for our city. Because I may have an idea and somebody else may have an idea, but because we're only voting yes or no, those ideas never get to come together and we never get to make a point. And so I really do believe that being able to have that conversation, even if everybody doesn't show up, if there's a publicly noticed meeting every quarter to where you can come and you can sit down and you can brainstorm ideas, and it's publicly noticed because you got something you want to brainstorm, that's where people are going to be heard. That's where ideas are going to come together, and that's where collaboration happens, and that's where the power in being on this council happens. It's not the vote yes or no. It's the vote what's best for this city, and your no and my yes may come together in the middle and really come up with something that's great for this city. And I would hope that that's what we would want to do instead of continue just to say yes or no. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I would just like to say thank you to the previous speaker, because that's exactly the intent. If you don't have anything on the agenda, you're not interested in the agenda. This is a non-voting, you don't have to be at it. And I asked in Germantown, they have an agenda, but they do not publish minutes afterwards. It's very informal, it's very public, but there's an agenda, so we know what we're talking about, but there's no requirement to do minutes afterwards. So that would be, again, a conversation that the mayor and Ms. Canfield and I could have. But it's very informal, and it's really about, I want to hear what you have to say. I want, we all want sidewalks, but what pieces of sidewalks are you willing to talk about? Where are you willing to say yes and no to? And let's have that conversation instead of trying to do a up or down at each meeting. So, but thank you.
Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just would like to say, if this resolution does pass and the mayor does decide to hold these 3 meetings, I would be okay and my request would be to do it at the end of the executive session. That way we don't have to have another date, and those meetings are already set up. But that would be my thought on that. Thanks.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just kind of want to go again back to something I'd said earlier. Yes, we do vote at our regular sessions. That's what we've been doing tonight. But at executive session, we have the new business on there. We've had several times brought forward by this exact sponsor items of discussion. That's not an opportunity for us to say yay or nay. It's going to be the exact same format that we would be in a vision session. We'd be sitting around here. We would have to, because we can't all talk at once. So we're going to have to hit our button to be able to talk about it, to be able to get into the discussion. So it's going to be similar to having those items of discussion. We have that 12 times a year to be able to do that. And I find it very confusing to say we're all for doing this, but we're not for attending actual committee meetings, which is one of our responsibilities as council members, is that we serve on those committees. you don't have to have something on there to vote on. You can request to have an item brought forward. I know we did that. I actually remember that with Parks and Recreation when the council member from Ward 7, and I'm thinking there's been other times, but I'm thinking about it. He had somebody he wanted to come in and make a presentation. They came in, they made a presentation for something that Parks and Recreation could be able to utilize. We have those opportunities. We can sit around and talk. Again, everybody's still not going to be talking at the same time, but you still have that opportunity to brainstorm every month in those committee meetings. Again, you've got the experts there. So whatever department it would be involved with, you can put it on there. So again, I don't see the sense, because, and I know we can say it's optional not to attend, but if it's a city council meeting, I have the expectation on myself that I'm going to be there, whether it's an executive session, whether it's a regular session, whether it's a committee meeting. I rarely miss committee meetings, and I don't miss council meetings. So, I mean, I think we would be expected to attend, but I think people should also be expected to attend the committee meetings. And again, utilize the system we already have in place.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quick, just to add in, I do understand and appreciate the vigil sessions, and I do try my best. I understand the importance of making the meetings for our committees. I have a lot of family obligations, so I apologize to everybody about that. But the biggest thing I want to say is just resource-wise, when we do add additional meetings, especially when you involve the public, you're going to have to incorporate not only that with the IT and also with the clerks, but you also got to think about law enforcement presence and everything such as that, which is already limited on their resources. And the additional pay, salary, and everything else like that goes into it, along with other costs and associated with it. So I like the idea. I just want to make sure that we're being equitable about it. That's it.
Councilperson Shekina, be recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. And to council persons for number 4, point of having it on the executive session, I don't think we should. I think if we're going to do this, we need to do it on Saturday morning, because this meeting could go for hours. So we need to have a fresh start if we're going to do this thing. And that's all I want to say about it.
Okay, we'll do it at 6 a.m. Saturday at Waffle House. All right, any other comment or question? Seeing none, we're voting on Resolution 67. Every member cast your vote, please. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
6 yes, 6 no, 1 abstain.
Resolution 67 fails. We're now on mayor and city council member comments. Any member wish to make a comment? Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
I'm going to make a quick apology to the city clerk. She did ask me in advance to postpone the item on the finance agenda regarding one of the neighborhood and community service items. So that is my apology that I completely forgot you asked me that. The reason we needed to postpone that was because we needed to ensure that we were able to have the full public comment period. So that was why it needed to be pushed 1 month. Again, my apologies for having slept since then.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Really quick, CD Light Band is hosting the Tennessee Valley Lineman Rodeo starting tomorrow and Saturday at Liberty Park. The public is welcome to come attend, and if you have driven past there, you have seen the hard work that's gone in by CD Light Band to install the poles for the climbing contest. And again, it's open to the public Friday, tomorrow, June 2nd, and Saturday, June 3rd at Liberty Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
I would just like to say, today is the kickoff of Pride Month. So go out there and enjoy the culture. Thank you.
Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Yes, I'd like to remind everybody that this is Juneteenth month as well, and it's also PTSD, Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Awareness Month. And with our proximity, our neighbor there at Fort Campbell, please keep them in your thoughts and your prayers for those that suffer PTSD from past wars. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
I would just like to say to the street department, I want to thank them for all the hard work that they do in keeping this city beautiful and clean and making sure that people abide by the codes and laws for their land. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Without objection, we're adjourned.